Good afternoon, students, and welcome to week 3 of your Linguistics and English 420 class. And so this week, we're going to go over the sound patterns of language. And so that is chapter 4 of your book. So without further ado, I will now share my screen. So chapter 4 explains the fundamental concepts of language sound patterns, specifically focusing on phonology. Chapter 4 clarifies that phonology is the study of how sounds are organized in languages, introducing phonemes as the smallest units of sound that differentiates meaning and allophones as variations of these sounds that do not alter meaning. Chapter 4 further elaborates on minimal pairs to illustrate sound differences, phonotactics concerning rules for sound combination, and syllables as the foundational units of words, including consonant clusters. Ultimately, Chapter 4 provides a comprehensive overview of how sounds are structured and utilized in human language. The sound patterns of language refers to how sounds are organized and used in different languages. Here's a simple explanation of the main concepts. Phonology. This is the study of sound patterns and how sound functions in particular languages. It examines the rules that govern how sounds are used together. Phonemes. These are the smallest units. So phonemes. These are the smallest units of sound that can change the meaning of a word. For example, swapping the B in bat with the H changes the word to hat. So each language has its own set of phonemes. Allophones. These are different sounds that can be used to pronounce a phoneme without changing the meaning of the word. For instance, the P in spin is a soft P, while the P, is an allophone of the, let me read that again. These allophones, these are different sounds that can be used to pronounce a phoneme without changing the meaning. For instance, the P in spin, a softer P, is an allophone of the P in pat, a stronger P. So spin and pat. And so you have two different kinds of Ps. And therefore, when you say the hard P and the soft P, it still sounds, it doesn't change the meaning of the word spin or pat. Minimal pairs. These are pairs of words that differ by only one phoneme. They illustrate how one sound change can create a completely different word, like bit and bat. Phonotactics. This refers to the rules that determine how sounds can be combined in a language. For example, in English, the sound n can appear at the end of words like sing, but not at the beginning. So that is known as the phonotactics. Syllables. Syllables are units of sound that form the building blocks of words. Each syllable typically has a vowel sound and may start or end with consonants. Consonant clusters. These are groups of two or more consonants that appear together in a syllable, such as STR in street. Some languages allow many consonant clusters. Others have strict rules about how many consonants can be together. Understanding these patterns helps us make sense of how words are formed and pronounced in different languages. So chapter 14 talks about the systemic nature of sound organizations within languages. Phonology highlights that sounds are not randomly assembled, but follow specific rules and patterns that allow for meaningful conversation. The most important ideas revolve around the definitions and functions of the core linguistic units and rules that govern sound production and perception. Phonology, the study of sound patterns, core idea. Phonology is presented as the overarching discipline concerned with how sounds are utilized and structured in specific languages. It examines the rules governing sound combination and functions. Phonology is the study of sound patterns. And so every language has its own phonology. And some of the sounds in English or in other languages do not exist in English. So not all languages have the same sounds. In French, for example, you have the sound U, but that sound does not exist in English. Or you have the sound ra, français. You know, the R in français, it's known as the French R, does not exist in English. So when an American or English speaker tries to learn French, they will have trouble with the French R or with the French U sound, because once again, it doesn't exist in English. So every language has its own phonology. Every language has its own sound system. And so in Chinese, for instance, they don't have R. So instead of saying Ronald Reagan, Chinese people will say Ronald Reagan, because the R doesn't exist in Chinese. So just like Americans say français instead of the correct pronunciation of français. So every language has sounds that don't exist in other languages. And so phonology is the study of all of these sounds in linguistics. Phonemes. So phonemes are the different sound bits that create meaning. And so phonemes are the smallest units of sound that when changed can alter the meaning of a word, and they are language specific. And so, so I already used the example, swapping the B in bat to hat. So all I did was change one consonant, and therefore bit and bat are hat or cat. So bit, bat, hat, cat, mat are all different simply because I change the sound m, b, k. As soon as I change the m, b, k, which are all different sounds, then the meaning of the word will change. So that's known as phoneme. B, p, k. Allophones, variations of a single phoneme. So a single phoneme like P, you could say P, or you could say spin, or bin, ba, and or you could say s, z. So like for instance, if I say buses or switches, and so all of that has to do with S. And so when a single sound has many variations of how you pronounce it, that's a allophone. So allophones are different pronunciations of a single phoneme that do not change the word's meaning. So these variations are often context dependent, hence spin or pin, pat or bat. Minimal pairs. Minimal pairs are crucial tools for identifying phonemes in a language. They are word pairs that differ by only one phoneme, clearly illustrating how a single sound can lead to a different word, such as, so it's not just simply the consonants. If the consonants change, bit and bat, or, bat, cat, mat. So if your consonants change, then you have a different word. You have different phonemes and different meaning. Also, if the vowel sound changes, like bit and bat, in this case, the consonants didn't change. In this case, it's the vowels that change. So when the vowels change, those are known as a minimal pair. So minimal pair are crucial tools for identifying phonemes in language. They are word pairs that differ by only one phoneme, clearly illustrating how a single sound change can lead to a completely different word. Phonotactics. Phonotactics refers to the set of rules that dictate how sounds can be combined within a specific language. These rules determine permissible sound sequences. Phonotactics, so n can only be sing. So you cannot say n at the beginning of a word. Although in other languages, these phonotactic rules can differ. Syllables. Syllables are fundamental units of sound within words, typically comprising a vowel sound, often with accompanying consonants. Syllables are units of sound that form the building blocks of words. So if I say independently, that's 5 syllables. If I say my first name, Yvonne, that's 2 syllables. So those are the building blocks of sound in words. And each syllable has a vowel sound and a consonant sound. And I know that all of you learned all of this in elementary school and you forgot about all of this, but now it's back. So consonant clusters. Did I just do that? No. Okay. So consonant clusters are sequences of 2 or more consonants within a single syllable. The permissibility and complexity of these clusters vary significantly across languages. And so consonant clusters are groups of 2 or more consonants that appear together in a syllable, such as street. So STR in street is a consonant cluster. Some languages allow many consonant clusters, while others have strict rules about how many consonants can be together. Understanding these concepts of phonology, phonemes, allophones, minimal pairs, phonotactics, syllable and consonant clusters is essential for comprehending how words are formed and pronounced in different languages. And so this chapter emphasizes the intricate rule-governed nature of sound organization in human communication. And so here, in conclusion, okay, here is a glossary of the most important words in chapter 4. Phonology, the overarching field of study concerned with how sounds are organized and function within specific languages. It investigates the systematic rules governing sound usage. Phonemes, the smallest, most basic units of sound, when altered, can differentiate the meaning of a word. These are language specific. Allophones, variations in the pronunciation of a single phoneme that do not result in a change in word meaning. They represent different phonetic realizations of the same underlying phoneme. Minimal pairs, pairs of words that are identical in every sound except for one phoneme, distinguishing the distinctiveness of phonemes and their role in meaning differentiation. Phonotactics, the set of rules dictating permissible combinations and sequences of sounds within a given language. These rules govern where certain sounds or sound clusters can appear. Syllables, fundamental units of pronunciation, typically characterized by a vowel sound and often accompanied by preceding or succeeding consonants. They form the rhythmic structure of words. Consonant clusters, sequences of 2 or more consonant sounds occurring consecutively within the same syllable. The permissibility and complexity of these clusters vary across languages. So if you've studied poetry, you become very aware of how language sounds. If even you do like song lyrics, you are very aware of how, you have to know how all the different words sound so you can get them to rhyme in a song lyric. So people who are musicians or poets are much more aware of how language is structured so that they can make beautiful poems or create beautiful songs. So this pretty much ends this week's lesson on the sounds of language or the sound patterns of language. And like I said before, every language has its own series of sound. And if you're learning another language and that sound was not in your native language, that's the sound you're going to have trouble with and you have to work on when learning second language, as in second language acquisition. And that's why it's much easier for children to learn languages. Up until the age of 12, people, no matter what the sound is, people could just learn it just like that. And then something happens to the brain as you undergo puberty, and then it slows down, and you have, the older you get, the harder it is to learn a language. In my case, I learned Chinese and English almost at the same time as a kid. So I can speak both fluently. But when I learned Spanish, I was in my late 20s. And so my Spanish is so bad because I learned Spanish at a much later age than I learned my French and Chinese. So that's an example of second language acquisition. I had trouble saying certain sounds in Spanish that does not exist in either Chinese or English, such as r, and also the accents. So if you want to learn a language, you got to do it young. Okay, so next week we're going to go over chapter 19 and 20 of your textbook. And chapter 19 is social variation in language. And then chapter 20 is going to be language and culture. And so if you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe to the Professor H writing channel. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at any time. Ooh, I found the record button this time.